Hi, it's Liz from Lohas, Canada. I have a finished sewing item. So if you like to sew knitted garments, so knitted wear, so it's four-way stretch, this is a great pattern. This is from Ellie and Mac, and it's the Tulip dress. You can also do a shirt with it as well, so it just depends on your length. So I'm using this mustard color that's a four-way stretch knitted. It does really need to be a four-way stretch for this to fit. So the pattern is meant for somebody who's 5'5" and I'm 5'6". It fits just below my knee when I stand up, and then when I sit down it just kind of goes up above my knee. Now I did make modifications to this. This is one of the modifications, which is a big one. I added about 5.5 inches to the bottom. So I just moved my pattern down and added another 5.5 inches. So that is quite a lot of fabric to add to the bottom, but looking at the pictures online, I just found it was a little bit too short for me. If I was going out clubbing or I lived in the city and I was going to wear it as a night dress or something, I could keep it. It's a little bit too short. My hips, what are my hip measurements? My hip measurements are 34, so a lot of the time, even though it's nice in the front, it's just because my behind, it just rides things up. And knitted fabric that has some stretch to it does roll up a little bit, so that was one of the modifications. The other modification is I added pockets. Now I wouldn't do this again because they do stick out. I'll just show you. So they don't lie flat just because it doesn't keep its memory, and I think what also happened is I stretched it out a bit. Of course, this is my own doing. The pattern is awesome. It does not have this in it. But what I did is I added pockets from another pattern, and they are quite large. So the Helen's Closet Winslow culottes is what I added, but they're a little bit stretched out because I think I was maybe pulling on them, and I did even a top stitch, but someone recommended I could put little Velcro strips in there or little snaps, but I wouldn't do that again just because I do love pockets, but the fit of it isn't really meant for this type of fabric, the four-way stretch. So I'll just go back to the first modification of adding the length. What I did is I just took the pattern and moved it down 5.5 inches and moved the marks as well. So that really made a difference, so that I positioned the bottom of the pockets where the gathering started. So if I didn't also move that down, then the pockets would have been more toward my upper rib cage. Otherwise, it just would have looked a lot funny. So those are the two big modifications that I did. So I wouldn't add pockets again, but I would still keep that length, that 5.5 inches. Just kind of also depends on your preference of where you're going to be wearing this dress. So the other thing is, so the front actually has two pieces to get the ruching effect. So you're cutting out two pieces for the front, one piece for the back. And just really depending on your fabric, the front with two pieces is awesome. I don't have to wear a bra. My cup size is 34B, so I don't have a huge bust, but I feel comfortable. I'm not sticking out. The back, though, for this fabric, you can see my underwear lined, and you can see some stuff happening. So I'd have to change up my underwear if I was heading out, but it's not, I think because also the stretch of it as well, it's just curving the curves on my behind, so it's a little bit more see-through. Also on the back, it does say to cut the piece in half, so the back should have two pieces and then you serge and sew the back pieces together. I just cut them as one. I was thinking maybe because the distribution weight might help with that, and maybe that will help with the effect of it not being as see-through, but I didn't do that, so maybe that could be a possible reason why. It could just be the fabric as well, but the pattern is really great. On Ellie and Mac, they do have videos on there, so I'm a very visual learner, so I do have a hard time reading some patterns, and I didn't even look at the pattern for this, so I was just going off the directions. I looked at the pattern just to cut the pieces. I had a little overview, but then I just went to the video and I just did step-by-step instructions. So that was really great. The gatherings were pretty easy, but it is a little bit tricky with knit fabrics because I haven't done knit fabrics before. I should have brushed up on it before. I did rip some of it. I did use on my sewing machine a 4-way stretch needle, so that I think helped a bit, but still my tension was a little bit tricky because if I did it too much of a length, then it actually started to gather it up, and if I did too short of a length, then it started to puncture holes in it, so I had to find this weird balance, and then there wasn't that much stretch to it. So the zigzag stretch was definitely my friend. I did add some zigzag stretch. I should have matched the fabric and the thread, but I thought, oh, it won't be too bad, but I think it's fine for my first one. I learned so much for this, and I did lots with my serger. So the serger was actually a lot better. If you don't have a serger, then zigzag stitch it, and then I don't know, I'm gonna have to find some sort of stretch thread or something. I used 100% cotton thread, and that could have been an issue as well. It did keep on breaking, so I did have to restring it and then maybe a different stitch, but I used my serger for the majority of it, especially to bind off the edges and then sew things together. It just worked out way better, and it loved the curves, and it didn't really clip and stretch anything too much. So I definitely knit fabrics for me, definitely with the serger. So I do like the ruching. You can, at the gathering parts at the bottom, you can make it as high or as low. So if you did cut like the pattern a little bit too short, like the fabric, then you can also just make the ruching a little bit less, or if you cut it too long, then you can ruche quite a bit and have that little peekaboo. So on this dress, you can also do 2 colors, so you could have like a top color and a bottom color, so you kind of have a peekaboo, and then you can have as much ruching or that peekaboo showing as possible. So it might be really nice to have like some sort of print color with a plain color, but I just stuck to one color for it. Also with the pattern, you do get the shirt size as well, so you could also make a shirt where you do some ruching and then you have that shirt. I really like this as a shirt, just as a shirt, so I think even without the ruching, I could make it just as a really nice tank, like a shirt or a tank top or anything. So there's lots of versatile ways you can use this. They also do have the different lengths on the arms. So if I wanted something a little bit more dressed up, a little bit more formal, you know, and it was in the winter time or the fall, I could go for a heavier knit and then maybe do something half sleeve or a full sleeve. That goes to the same where I don't have to do the ruching. I could just make a plain fitted nice dress with just standard no ruching happening. The ruching just adds a really nice effect. I'm glad I did the ruching on this one because with the pockets it doesn't seem so bad. I think if I had no ruching on this, no gathering, then the pockets really stood out and I would have extra hip width happening. So I think there's a lot of versatility to this pattern, and I think I can do a lot of different things with it. So I really enjoyed it, and it was pretty easy. I haven't done neck bands before, so that was kind of interesting, and it was really easy, thankfully, with the stretch. I was worried about the shoulders as well because I usually work with cotton or linen, and there's like not a lot of stretch going on there, so you have to be a little more fiddly, and I hadn't done fittings for the collar or the armbands yet. So that was really great. It gave me a boost of confidence. It was pretty easy The ruching though, you were going sometimes through 3 layers when you were attaching the back and the front, because the front had two of the panels, but in the video then they showed you how to do it. So then you do some basting stitches just so that it ties it all together. So I did have a little bit of problem with that just because I wasn't too sure how far to put in my basting stitches to the outer edge, and I should have put it a lot closer just because this type of fabric does tend to roll, and then I could have taken out the basting stitches later, more like say in my hemline on the side. So some of the ruching on one side I did have to go back and just do a zigzag stitch just because I did miss some of the fabric for the ruching, and it was just peeking out a bit. So, and if I did like a straight line and I went off, it just peeked through. So I think that's just also because I wasn't using a color that matched my fabric, so it would have been a lot better, but that's just how this one went. So I still have to figure out kind of how the hem works as well, just because I did just a normal hem for me, but then it kind of rolls up a bit. So I think if I did a thicker hem or some sort of maybe knit fabric hem, it would have been a lot better. But yeah, the pattern was super easy. I could probably make one of these now way faster now that I understand the whole method of it. So it was a really great pattern. I enjoyed it. I'll be making more dresses like this for sure. At least a t-shirt, definitely. I'm gonna figure out if I'm gonna keep the 2 pieces of fabric for the front and then just one at the back, maybe even for the t-shirt, just because this material does have a tendency to stretch and show a little bit through. So if I want to continuously wear this without a bra, it'd be great. I am a little bit concerned though at the bottom. I'd have to figure out some sort of way to hem it on a t-shirt just so it doesn't roll up. So I have a couple more Ellie and Mac patterns that I purchased, and I'll be making the runched top, or UCHED top. So I have the material cut out for that, and I do wear a lot more tops than I do dresses, so I'll probably be making more tops than that, but definitely I think maybe more in the fall I'll make some more dresses, because it'll be more of I think a heavier weight knit I would use. So this fabric I'm using, I think, is 97% cotton and then 3% stretch. So it does have quite a bit of stretch in it, but it's still breathable, and that was one of the main things that I wanted to do, is to get something that was breathable, that wasn't polyester mainly, because you can get knitwear that is a lot of polyester, but I just end up sweating so much. So that's why I was looking for something with cotton and a little bit of elastic. So I think that really helped. I didn't have any problems with the collar. I did that on one go. Same with the sleeves as well. So let me know if you've done any Ellie and Mac patterns and if you enjoyed it, or what you would do differently about it. And how would you, say, add a pocket? I really love pockets in dresses, but yeah, this one for sure. I mean, it doesn't look too bad, but I don't know, would you do like a little, could you even do a welt pocket? Is it too much of a stretch fabric? Maybe it just has to have no pocket at all or something. I want to find a clever way to add a pocket to these stretch materials. I don't often sew with these stretch materials, so I really want to find some sort of hack for a pocket for these stretch materials. So if you know of a hack to add a pocket to these stretch materials, please leave them down in the comments below, and I will chat with you guys later. Bye!